listen, let me be hypocrite again. I will be gone before I know. No matter how far I go, they find me out. I wish the ghost took away my clue. I can't help this fake feeling. I feel so good. We'll be alright. Don't look so sad. Confess my sin, 'cause it's alone. Night will come soon. It's what everything. Quietly hiding in the grass, hearing the leaves listening. They're singing with the burning beyond. It gives me deep relief. I will be gone before I know. No matter how far I go, they find me out. I wish the ghost took away my gloom. I can't help this fake feeling. I feel so good. We'll be alright. Don't look so sad. Confess my sin, 'cause it's alone. Night will come soon. It's what gracefully
Hello. Hello and good evening, everyone. I hope all is well. swooshing in the background isn't something that you might find to be discomforting. That's just my computer. I assume you can hear it because it's extremely loud in my ears. Also, hi, how is everyone? I hope you are well, and I hope that everything has gone well for the day, for the night. And I didn't plan very far in advance for this. I just thought it would be cool. And yeah, I'm really nervous. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna fix my chair. Hi. So here's the basic plan for the day. I'm working on a video that I've been working on for quite some time now. I said quite some time. I mean, I've been thinking about making it for quite some time. I have only taken baby steps towards its completion. So today, I really wanted to try ASMR for the first time, and I thought that it sounded really cool to play with my microphone on my own. So here I am, and personally, I would like to dedicate this video. I'm so nervous. And personally, I would like to dedicate this stream and video to Kiru or Kirumi BT, whom, can I do a shout out on my phone? I don't know if that's even possible. Is it? It's like exclamation point, or is it this way? You know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna put it in chat. How about it? I think that would be a better idea. I'll just pin a chat message. For being helpful. Oh no. How do I pin it? Oh, there we go. There's the button. Until manually unpinned. But okay. I think we're good. And we're almost ready. Okay, anyway. Right, so basically the plan is I wanted to make a very long video on the dictionary and use it as a piece of hopefully evergreen educational content. And the basic idea is that I would like to go over and learn new words from that dictionary, learn new ways to use them, and anybody who shows up to assist in the streams or in the videos, I would like to dedicate words to them based on whether or not I find them, fun or funny or wholly entertaining. And we're going to use this legal pad and pencil that I have here as a writing trigger because I think that it sounds really nice. There's something that's, to me, very nostalgic about sitting at home with like all of the windows open so you hear all of the background noise of the wind rolling through the trees. I grew up on a farm basically, so I didn't live next to a highway or any kind of interstate. So it was just really nice for me to sit in a desk with a pencil and paper with the windows open, so I would hear the wind chimes, the birds, the wind flowing through the trees, and it was just super nostalgic, and I really like the sound of pencil on paper, so I thought it would be really cool if I tried to do so as a trigger in an ASMR stream, and I really hope that it's something that more people can show up to assist with, and that I can, make this work in the long run. I would like to I would like to have a bit more variety when it comes to streaming. And I think ASMR is really cool, even though I don't personally listen to any of it, because it doesn't really appeal to me. But I do like playing with my microphone, and that's as good a reason as any to make a video or to stream with it, right? You know? So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm like mostly certain that I have remembered to turn off all sound effects. And even if I didn't, I have it set so that none of my global audio is going to come through. But I don't have a dedicated mute button, so I apologize in advance that you're going to have to hear the click of me muting my microphone because I'm a little bit sick. And it's really hard for me to make go like long periods of time in general because I'm allergic to outside. It's really difficult for me to go long periods of time without needing to clear my throat and or cough on account of all of the allergic reactions that I kind of just have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So my throat tends to be rather scratchy, and I will do my best to both not smack the microphone and to also not make a lot or too much noise in the microphone. I guess now would also be a good time to mention that I have 3 cats and a roommate, so it's very likely that at some point one or all of them is going to make some noise. It's very late right now where I live, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. However, it should be noted that this could happen, and I don't want that to be a surprise. And I haven't mentioned it until now, but I have to give a big thanks to Kirumi for pointing me towards Kisa's Ko-Fi page, who made this free capybara asset, who now sits on my shoulders. I would like to come up for it. We need a name for him. Somebody has to come up with a name. I've been trying to, but the only thing I can come up with is Jeffrey, and I think Jeffrey is a little basic. But he's very cute, and he's very quiet, which means that he is the best companion. And I'm not really sure that Jeffrey is an original name inspired by my thoughts, because I was watching Straw Bully VT play Resident Evil Requiem, and she called the guy who really wants the lights to stay off Jeffrey, and I think that's where it came from. So, without further ado, let's cough and choke. So without further ado, I believe I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the dictionary definitions that I wrote off stream, and the goal, I think, is to try and find a way to use them in a sentence. I didn't count, but I have 1, 2, 3, I have like 3 pages of words and definitions that we can start from, and if the stream goes well and people continue to show up, which would be really nice, then I can go retrieve the dictionary and we can continue moving forward. But I suppose we will just have to wait and see. So I was basically going through the front. Oh my goodness. I was basically going through A to Z. That's the plan. I want to make videos based on a letter at a time. We can maybe do groups of letters if there is, like I'm thinking of X specifically. X, Y, and Z. They don't have as many words just on account of their, I guess, their syllabic structure. So, I just think that a lot of these words are very interesting and or are useful words that, oh my goodness. And or are just useful words that we could make, even if we don't use them day to day. They're definitely not used, but I still think it's helpful to know on account of seeing them out in the wild from time to time, because you'll see some random words. I think the word abdicate, it's not where we're starting, but the word abdicate is a really good example of this, because to abdicate a throne is rather interesting. And I've literally only heard that word, I think maybe twice. Both times were on TV shows. Nobody ever says abdicate. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I think we should start with the actual first word that I wrote down, which is abatis. A-B-A-T-I-S. The first definition from Merriam-Webster comes from French, which is to strike down or slaughter. The second definition from 1766, a defensive obstacle formed by felled trees with sharpened branches facing the enemy. Basically, you know, the big pointy stakes that you see on the outside of walls in a lot of fantasy and medieval settings, those are called abatis, or those are an abatis. I don't know if it, I would assume with context, for the second definition, using a defensive obstacle, it's kind of one big unit. So an abatis is just the ring of sharp defense around a fortified area. But I'm really curious how you would use abatis as like a verb. Abatis as a verb. So like, if we use like, so abatis. What? I don't know how to use that as a verb. So we're gonna give a couple lines there. Maybe we can go through and somebody maybe eventually might show up and we can have a good time, or not. I guess it's also possible that nobody shows up. But I think it's also fair that if I just, because I don't know how to use abatis as a verb, perhaps I will simply write down a way to use the second definition, I suppose. Like, the enemy forces, so innumerable were they, trampled themselves to climb the abatis. Very good. Well, that was fun. My hand is already sweaty and I've written exactly one sentence. How hilarious. So, fun fact, the second word that I have written down is abdicate. It's almost like I brought that up why I didn't just start with habitus is beyond me. Maybe it's because it was blue. I wrote these in pen, and I'm writing now with a pencil, and it's just not quite the same. At any rate, to abdicate, per Merriam-Webster, definition 1 is to cast off or discard, which is basically to abdicate your clothing, which is really funny in a non-sexual context and would just probably otherwise make me uncomfortable if somebody said that to me. The second definition would be to formally relinquish power, particularly as a sovereign, so that you may abdicate the throne. He abdicated the throne alongside his robe. Wouldn't that be hilarious? He quit so hard that he got naked. That's a good one, isn't it? The sovereign king abdicated with such disdain his throne, he knew not to keep his clothing as well. What a goofy sentence. See, this is the fun part, for me at least. So our third word of the night will be abeam. A-B-E-A-M. Which is I believe a beam to be like aeronautical jargon. Per Merriam-Webster, a beam's denotation is off to the side of the ship / plane, especially at a right angle to the middle of the ship. Hello, Marthy, you too. I forgot I don't have the audio muted for me personally. That scared the bejesus out of me. I was going over the word abeam, and I think it's aeronautical jargon, and I think it has a lot to do with the right angle leaving of off to the, so like a beam would, okay, wait, no, hold on, I think I'm getting it now. It's kind of like to be relative to the right side of the middle of a ship or a plane, but like on the outside. What a ridiculous, what a ridiculous, I don't know how to use this in a sentence. Okay, wait, a beam, he left, oh gosh, help me out here. Somebody held strongly to the plane. A beam. Wait. Yo, thank you for the sub, I appreciate it. I don't have a lot available in terms of sub badges or anything, but I appreciate it nonetheless. I'm working on it. We've got, none of that audio is coming through, right? I don't want you guys to be like frightened by the alert box. I think I've got it muted, but I'm pretty sure it's okay. Yeah, that would absolutely work. Okay. I'm also very aware that there's this whooshing sound in the background. That's just my computer. My computer is very loud. Alright, I've got my audio turned down to about 50%, which feels really weird because now I'm not super loud. Yo, you are going crazy with it. That's so kind of you. Thank you. That's did you just gift a random sub? Because if you just gifted a random sub, it's really funny that you got one of my IRL friends. That's pretty good. Well, I'm gonna be honest, this word kinda sucks. I wrote it down because I thought it was interesting and I don't like it at all, actually. Alright, so the next word, should I call you, is it Mar, like Mar 3, or like Mare, Marathite, Marathi, Marathi, I'm going crazy. Help a brother out. How should I call you? Next up, we have an interesting word, and I would like somebody to see if we can come up with an interesting sentence for it. Because I think it rather well describes me, Mayor, like the horse. Oh, I see. Marathu. Oh, Marathu. Okay, that makes sense. You know, it's interesting. I thought about that, but I was like, who's actually gonna show up and make a horse reference? Yeah, I grew up on a horse farm, so I get it. That was my first thought, but I was like, I don't want to call somebody in chat a horse. I feel like that's probably bad form. So the next word that I wanted to go over is abecedarian. Marthy. I do like Marthy. Marthy's cute too. So the next word is abecedarian, which is a crazy word that I had never heard of until recently. Abecedarian, which is basically referencing somebody learning the rudiments of something, like the alphabet. So an abecedarian would also be a 5-year-old in kindergarten learning the alphabet, or perhaps the alphabet song. So who would the proper abecedarian be? It's me, the overgrown rodent. But I think there's probably a better way to write that sentence. Like, the group of kindergartners are nothing more than abecedarians. an original. Maybe the next word will become more interesting. Abelia, which is, I believe that's the correct pronunciation, Abelia, any of a genus of Asian or Mexican shrubs of honeysuckle family, having white, red, or pink flowers. It's just a bush. Isn't that funny? Wow. An abelia is literally just a bush. I was talking whenever I first started stream. I said that I was doing some homework, some quote preemptive homework. You can't see it, I'm doing air quotes. Preemptive homework with regards to a lot of the words that I have written down. I have about 3 pages, and they were interesting for me to learn, but I'm realizing as I read them I have absolutely no structure to this whatsoever, and I think that's kind of the beauty of going over things alphabetically. So thank you for the hydrate. I shall graciously accept my caffeinated gamer subs. As the abelia bush caught fire on account of the yard work being neglected for too long. Oh my goodness. I don't like being sick. How about the word aberrant? Straying from the right or normal way also could be called atypical. I have two definitions, which the second being deviating from the usual or natural type, which is just like a different subject matter, but still says the same thing. How would I use this in a sentence? Aberrant. What is aberrant of my natural way? A family of capybaras hunting a crocodile would be aberrant of the natural order. So someone is abetted. Oh, I really want to make a gambling joke, but I don't think this is the time or the place. I'll stick with a more positive approach. All his friends abetted the decision to attend rehab. Abiogenesis is another word that makes no sense at first. It originates from 1870, meaning the origin of life from non-living matter. The second definition is the theory that organic life forms and subsequent simple life forms originated from inorganic substances, conjugated as abiogenist and abiogenic, which is basically, I guess the easiest way to use these in sentences would be that dirt or water is abiogenic to breathe life into the ecosystem. I don't think that's correct. I think I know too little. I think this is one of those science things and I'm just kind of a moron. Abiogenesis. Got a new sleep place. Yeah, I guess so. You better not be sleeping on the job, though. It's probably not good for your paycheck. I don't know how I would use my new bed. You got a new bed. I want a new bed. I say as somebody who literally has a new bed. It's not brand new, but it's new to me. Filling the face while listening to ASMR content at work is a wild strategy, by the way. Not one I disapprove of, but interesting. Aperture. This is a word that I don't think literally anyone is ever going to use. Not on purpose. To abjurate. To be an abjurer, abjuration, or abjuring would be to renounce upon oath. So to just give up cheese because my religion said so. Or to reject solemnly and abstain from. I don't know how to use that. How in the... I'm not going to use that. Ever. Not in the real world. You absolutely should tell your boss that. You should tell your boss that you're a hardworking, independent man who doesn't need no job. The next word is ablate, and I think it's rather topical in that regard. To remove or destroy. His position at work has been ablated. This is not to be confused with an ablation, which is surgical removal, although I guess you could call some things in that vein a surgical removal of a job or temporary position. But I'm more interested in the second definition. He's like, okay. I'm more interested in the second definition, which is the loss of a part by melting or vaporization. You know, like Isaac Clarke. Isaac Clarke losing his life via ablation due to a malfunctioning reactor is just one of many ways that you can and almost certainly will die playing Dead Space. I guess you could also get shot. Ablative or ablative, which is of relating to or constituting a grammatical case, usually expressing the relations of separation and source, also those relations as cause or instrument. The cats are moving around in the other room. This is a rather complex word. So an ablative basically is a word that represents a different word that I guess exemplifies the separation. I don't think I'm gonna come up with anything off on the spot that can realistically do something with this one. And the next word is German. So let's hold on. Let's come back to this one. So we're gonna skip 2 lines. And this word is ablaut. A-B-L-A-U-T. This is a German loan word for English, one that we don't actually use, but it's really interesting because I didn't know that we just took the German word for the systematic variation in a vowel with the same root word, which is, I have an example written down here as sing, sang, song, and sung. That variation of the second letter being the vowel is an ablaut. But to use an ablaut would be really weird. Although I guess if you maybe use the word upload to highlight a word that has different substitutes. There's just, I don't know any other, I only wrote that one down. I don't know what any other words like that are off the top of my head. I'm gonna hurt myself thinking about it. The cats are fighting at the door. They really want inside. Next up, we have the word abluted or ablution, which is to be washed clean, the washing of one's body or part of, an act or action of bathing. In the British version, a building for bathing and toilet facilities on a military base, or ablutionary, which they have a separate building for that. That's a little interesting. But I guess fine. I don't know what. An ablutionary. What? There was no crimes committed. There were no crimes committed in the ablutionary. However, Mike took a righteous poo. Following that excursion, he engaged in ablution, I guess. My kitten has her face jammed inside the door, like right at the bottom. I feel bad, but I genuinely can't trust her to be in here because she'll try to fight the pencil. And that's not gonna be good. Not for anybody. Alright, next up on the list of funny words. It's not really, oh my god, don't make too much noise. And you're making too much noise. We have abnegate or abnegation, which is to deny or renounce my god. She's not gonna give me much of a choice, is she? Oh my god, hold on, she's got her head stuck. Give me a moment. Okay, crisis averted. Nobody got stuck forever. And that's a good thing, I hope. Turns out it actually wasn't my kitten that wanted in. It was Mimosa. Everyone say hello to Mimosa. She's my sweet girl. One of 3, but she's like the really sweet one. She likes to sleep on my face, and I think suffocate me in my sleep, but that's okay. We still love her for that. So, the next word is a boil, which is basically to be boiling or otherwise stirred up or excited. The water was a boil. Very simple. So we gotta move this back over some. Next, we have abomasum. The fourth. Okay. I have no idea the correct pronunciation for this word, but it basically means it's just the fourth compartment of the ruminant stomach that follows the omasum and has a real digestive function, which is Merriam-Webster's way of saying it's a cow stomach. So we're just gonna write so it being the part of the cow's stomach that handles actual digestion. The thing about cows is, like, they literally can't digest 90% of their diet if they didn't have all 5 stomachs. I don't know why they need 5. Evolution just said that's what we're gonna do, and I'm not gonna question it because I can't design a catapult, let alone a living organism. So anyway, the next word is abominate, not to be confused with abominable, although I guess it is still related, because to abominate is to deprecate as an ill omen or hate and loathe it very intensely. So abominate is the feeling that you get when something is abominable. An abominable thing. Mimosa, why are you can't eat the paper. Please stop. The abominable snowman is just abominable, but I abominate the abominable snowman. I feel like this is only going to get more confusing. We have next aboral, which is aboral. Okay, so there's still supposed to be a stress accent or a stress syllable is with the O. So aboral would be to be situated opposite or away from the mouth. Like my microphone is a great example. My microphone sits aboral to my face. We have aborigin, or aboriginal, which is, I think this is a word that people do hear rather often about aboriginal people, which is to be the first of one's kind to something. Hello, Flop03. I am writing dictionary definitions as part of a video project, a much larger video project that I'll be working on in the long run, which will essentially just be documenting interesting or complex words in Merriam-Webster's 11th Collegiate Dictionary. Doesn't that sound fantastically boring? Because I thought so too, but I can't help myself and I'm really interested in this stupid idea. Right now, we're working on this is the first stream. Hopefully I'll be able to do some more of this if it does well. And we are on the word aborigin or aboriginal, which is basically just, people. An aborigin, which is aboriginal, but instead of AL at the end, there's just an E. And it is an aboriginal inhabitant, specifically contrasted against the indigenous people as an invader, which is basically to say that Christopher Columbus is an aborigin, because he was a really bad person, and there were already people in America when he got here. So basically what my goal has been is to come up with sentences after I define these words that are either funny and or interesting uses of these words, but a lot of them just end up being really technical because I'm just kind of a nerd and I don't really know how to loop them back in. Like Christopher Columbus is an aborigine. I don't. How do you make that funny? Who's an aborigine that's funny? Insert joke here about Diddy. ABC. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. I'll just put an asterisk next to this one. Mimosa, what are you doing? Alright, the next word I have is aborning. How many words do I have down? Not that many. I mean, I have a handful. I wrote about 3 pages of definitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got like 12 a page. I probably have about 30 words in total right now. But when I run out of the words do you think chud is in there? Hey, you're asking the real questions, and already convinced me to go and get my dictionary. Give me a second. You've asked me to learn, and you've convinced me that learning is good. Let's open to C real quick. That's D. Oh my god, that's loud. Or I opened to D instead. Whoops, sorry. CO. We have CL. We have CE. Here we go, we're getting closer. There's Chadless. What do we have? We have Chancellery. Still not quite. Charade. Not there yet. Chatted. How many pages are CHA? Cameosmotic. What? I don't know what that word is. These. Oh my god, there's so much weird stuff. Imagine stopping learning. If you could stop learning, you would stop being interested. Let's be honest, buddy. Chowder. Chuff. Here we go. We have CHRCHUB. We have Chub. We have Chub. Chubbly. Chubby. Chug. Chug hole. Chuckle. Chucklehead. Chuck wagon. There is no chud in 11th edition Collegiate Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. I have sad news. That's really unfortunate. Maybe next time. Alright. As I was. What was the other? No problem, man. I was interested too. Don't worry. If nothing else, Urban Dictionary will always have some disgusting variation of it. I appreciate it, Flop. I do my best. Sometimes, although I'm not trying very hard most of the time. It's just that my best is that much of a disappointment. Now, what was this filthy word that I was looking at? Aborning. While being born or produced. Oh my god. You can be aborn. We have test tube babies. That's right. The test tube babies were abhorrent, not adorned. The test tube babies were abhorrent by the miracles of science and experimentation. That's not a really disgusting thought at all. I'm gonna skip the next word on account of it being probably politically charged, and that's okay. Is that abrade? Or no, that's abrode, which is to rub or wear away by friction, like erosion. So abrode is kind of like, that's just simply when you're scrubbing something with a brush. So, what? To wear away, to rub, or to wear away, abrode. To abrode. You must abrode. Cease. Cease your abroding. Cease. Cease abroding that memorial. It's not graffiti. It's not even it's not related to anything. We have what action, the expression and emotional discharge of repressed unconscious material by verbalization, especially in the presence of a therapist. Hey, have fun back at work. Best of luck. Hopefully things go well for everybody. Or not. I mean, whatever comes first, I guess. I will be here with a powerful headache trying so desperately to be quiet. Ouch. Abreaction, what in the heck? How do you even define using that in a sentence? Yeah, the best I could come up with this one is the patient had an excessively long abreaction to therapy questions regarding a traumatic past. I think that's just real and depressing, but I don't know if I'd call it real depressing, because I wasn't there. They're not allowed to listen in on therapy sessions anyway, and that's fine. I don't want to. I've been to therapy before, and that shit sucked. Now we've got a breast. This one's interesting, of or pertaining to the tits, which, no, I was wrong. That's not what it was. I was just guessing. The definition is beside one another with bodies in line, or up to a particular standard of knowledge of recent developments. What? I feel like I've been cheated. What do you mean? Okay, in that case, I think I will go with definition 2, because definition 1 is, I mean, never mind. Two breasts sat abreast one another. Nothing quite like a complicated conversation to have with two words that, while do have the same root word, mean fundamentally different things. Can't wait till we get to the apoplectic versus apoplexia, because that one makes me mad, and that's really funny if you know in either of the. Never mind. Next up we have a bridge. To abridge, which is to reduce in scope, duration, or shorten by omission of words without the sacrificing sense. Now, I don't know if anybody here or watching this has seen or ever will watch pardon me. Now, I don't know if anybody watching this has seen or ever will watch Team 4 Stars Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but it's a beautiful example of the definition of this word. Hi, King Cole. I hope work goes well. I'm glad to see you here again. Hopefully it doesn't suck like work tends to do, but I wish you the best. We're studying the English dictionary today. I hope that doesn't sound painfully boring for you. Team 4 Stars Dragon Ball Z Abridged is easily the best the best example of what it means to genuinely shorten and retain structural integrity of the narrative when it comes to the anime, because honestly, I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and he was like, I thought Dragon Ball Z Abridged was like a real series, and it struck me that, funnily enough, you could genuinely get the vast majority of story out of Dragon Ball Z Abridged and, like, have pretty solid knowledge of most of the things that go on in Dragon Ball Z. It's pretty good in that regard, and I think that's a really awesome accomplishment that Team 4 Star managed to pull off. My hand is already starting to hurt, but that's okay. It's a small price to pay. And it looks like the final word that I have written down is approach, which has, let's see, I have two definitions. The first of which is an archaic one, which is in a condition for letting out a liquid like wine, which means that we kind of like how we have like those wine lids. I don't know, we sell them in like convenience stores sometimes in places depending on where. I see them mostly in super centers, and I guess probably liquor stores have them as well, but they're just like these little plastic nozzles that you stick on the top of a bottle or just inside of one, and it's like a reverse funnel. I assume the idea is that it's supposed to help it become aerated so you don't have to let it sit and settle, which is really interesting. I don't know if I'm going to use that as I don't know that I'm going to use that definition specifically, but what I will do is I will use the second definition, which is also archaic, which is inaction or agitation, mischiefs that I set approach. What? Mischiefs that I set approach. I wrote an example down with this because I realized I was going to struggle in the moment. Mischiefs that I set approach. Mischiefs that I said approach include but are not limited to loosening the screws in the handrails. What the heck was that? Something made a very bassy noise in response. I don't know what that was. Okay, that's fine, I guess. I'm not really worried about it, unless something bad happens later, but I'll deal with that as it comes. And that does it for all of the definitions that I have already written down. So now I must move on to the actual dictionary that I have. We'll set this notebook to the side, and maybe someday later I will get my hands back and, you know what? Gabby, you talk too much. You talk too much for somebody who has not said a damn word yet. No, I don't, too far. There's A. And I think I left off on page 4 because there was a, yeah, I think I left off in, yeah, it was page 4, column 2, so I know where I'm at now. So let's start reading the dictionary, I guess, word by word, and see what I can find in here that's actually interesting. We left off with abridge. We've got abridgment, approach, abroad, abrogate. I'm sorry, what? An abrogate, or to abrogate, which is to abolish by authoritative action. So to abrogate that's like a different way of saying what? An executive order from the U.S. presidency. So, we'll, abrogate, oh, my hand's cramping. Okay, so that's interesting. Which, I think there are multiple, right? There's another one, to treat as non-existent. Oh, abrogating their responsibilities, so that's kind of like a synonym for the word shirk. I like using the word shirk. I shirk my duties often at work. That's not true, but it's a good way of using the word. That's the way that I tend to, at least. Next up we have abrupt, abruption, ABS, which is a tough, rigid plastic used especially for automobile parts and building materials. This, oh my god, what is that? Acrylonitrile, butadiene, styrene. I don't know what that is. I can't say that. Also, the second definition of ABS is the American Bible Society. Not gonna get into that either. We have abscess, which is a localized collection of pus surrounded by inflamed tissue. I hiccuped. Ouch. I don't know that I need to use that one. I think it would be best to avoid using words that have a lot of medical implications, just on account of the fact that most people, if they know what they mean, probably have they probably have experiences with them, although it doesn't hurt to know these things either. I don't know, I'm a little confused on how to approach that one, but I think I'm gonna go without it, especially since I don't know what the word right after it is, which is abscise. Yeah, abscise, which is to separate as a flower from a stem by abscission, to separate by abscission. So to abscise is to just like pluck the flower from its stem. crab looking. That's a cute way of looking at it, I think. Ouch. What in the fuck? Abscisic acid. What is this? A plant hormone that is sesquiterpene. Widespread in nature and that typically promotes leaf abscission and dormancy and has an inhibitory effect on cell elongation. What do you mean? So, abscisic acid, excuse me. So abscisic acid is, I guess, like the poisonous blood hormone that plants have that will, cause them to lose their leaves. I wonder if this is something that is specific to certain plants, or if it's something that happens on account of it being like a seasonal shift, such as autumn. I don't know. But I also don't know what the word sesquiterpene means. Abscission, which is the active process of cutting flowers, fruit, or leaves from plants, blah blah blah. Abscond. Now that's a good one. I like the word abscond. So abscond is to depart secretly and hide oneself. I have fudge. I must abscond from the party because it is getting late and I don't have the energy to continue. It's very simple. Very simple. Next. Next up, we have Absel. What? Down, off, abseil. This is a chiefly British word that means nothing to me. We have absence, we have absent, we have absentee ballot, absenteeism, which is the prolonged absence of an owner from his property or work. An owner from his or her property. Oh, chronic absence. Absenteeism means chronic absence. I guess so. I'm used to the education system calling it truancy. Although I guess truancy typically just means that you're doing it on purpose. And it follows it as a court order. So yeah, I guess so. Oh my god, we have absinthe, which is a green liqueur which is flavored with wormwood. Wormwood, anise, and other aromatic herbs, and commercial production of which is banned in many countries for health concerns. What? So, hang on. So you're trying to tell me that this... Wait. So definition 1 just says wormwood. Definition 2 is a green liqueur, which is flavored with wormwood, anise, and other aromatic herbs, and commercial production of which is banned in many countries for health concerns. So is wormwood just... So is absinthe just wormwood liquefied? I'm confused. That doesn't really make sense. Oh my god, my knees. Those were my knees, absolute conversion, absolute humidity, absolute magnitude, absolute pitch, absolute space, absolute value, absolute zero, and then we get on to real words like absolution, the act of absolving, specifically a remission of sins pronounced by a priest. We have absolutism, which is just a political theory, whatever. We have absolutive, which is of relating to or being an inflectional morpheme that typically marks the subject of an intransitive verb or the direct object of a transitive verb in an ergative language. I love it when they use larger words to define what the damn word means. So, an absolutive. I don't think I understand of relating to or being an inflectional morpheme. What is an inflectional morpheme? I have questions, I have things to learn. Again, where's my pen? Genuinely, where's my pen? Where's my fucking pen? I found it. Hold on. I have a pen, and I need to look up inflectional morpheme. I need to know what the word ergative means. And I also need to know what... I need to review transitive verbs. Okay, so we're gonna set the pen off to the side. It's not time to be using that all the time. Now, we went from absolutive, which I'm not going to try to use in a sentence because I will essentially use it incorrectly. Then we have absolutize, which is to make absolute or convert into an absolute. That one's pretty reasonable to me. We have absolve, absorb, absorbance, absorbency, absorbent, absorbing, absorptance, which is the ratio of the radiant energy absorbed by a body to that incident upon it. What? Absorptance, which is the ratio of radiant energy absorbed by a body to that incident upon it. So, is that one most applicable to... I would think that absorptance is probably most applicable to something like astrophysics or something astronomical related, because I don't know exactly, well, at least that's where it would be most reasonable for me to understand, I think. Anyway, we have absorptiometry, which, oh my god, measurement of the amount of radiation absorbed to determine density. Wow, that's a crazy sentence. We have absorptive, absorption band, we have absorption line, absorption spectrum, absorptively abstain. Oh, abstain, that's a fun one to refrain from. To abstain, or to be... Abstemious. What is that? Marked by restraint in the consumption of food or alcohol. Abstemious. That's interesting. Abstemious. That's interesting. Then we have abstention. The act or practice of abstaining. So to abstain. Okay, so his abstention from his or her. His or her abstention from sex is remarkable. I suppose that's one way that you can look at it, huh? Big breach. I have to clear my nose again. I must say, I do particularly dislike being sick. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Next up on the list of words, we have abstract, abstracted, abstract expressionism, abstraction, abstractionism, abstract of title, abstruse. Okay, that's a word, isn't it? What enough? Difficult to comprehend. Abstruse. That's kind of like saying obtuse, which is just like to call somebody weird. Abstruse, abstrusity, absurd, absurdism. And then we have absurdist, absurdity, a bubble. What? A bubble being in a state of agitated activity or motion. That's so funny. That's such an interesting word. And then we have abulia or abulic, which is abnormal lack of ability to act or make decisions. Abulia. Abulia. It's interesting, so how would I use that in a sentence? Oh, it's abnormal. An abnormal lack of ability to act or make decisions. or is it abnormal because it's different from everyone else? I'm not entirely certain. What I do know is that the next word is abundance, and then abundant, abuse, abusive, abet, abut, abutted, abutting, what? A-B-U-T. Abut. That's not a butt. To touch along a border or with a projecting part. To terminate at a point of contact or to lean for support. Oh my goodness, to border on. To cause, to abut. What? Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. There are like 4 different versions of this, but only basically 2 of them. So, essentially, what I understand from reading definition 1, to touch along a border or with a projecting part of land, basically, is that so we'll use my state as an example. I'm gonna write it down to touch. So we'll use my state as an example to say that Kentucky sits abut the Tennessee and northern border. Interesting. Definition 2 is to cause to abut. Wait, what? Terminate at a point of contact. 2A doesn't make any sense. To cause to abut. So, wait, no, that does make sense. So, to abut, or to cause to abut, is so, you know, in class sometimes whenever you were doing something you weren't supposed to, and you would get caught, but your teacher catches you by walking up to you and putting their hand on your shoulder. The teacher caused you to abut. Next up we have a butylon. What? Yeah, a butylon. A butylon. Oh, it's a genus name. Any of a genus of plants of the mallow family, often having lobed leaves and solitary bell-shaped flowers. I don't think a butylon is a word I'm going to ever use, because I cannot visualize what a plant that has. First of all, I don't know what a mallow plant is necessarily, and second of all, I don't know. I mean, I guess I do know what a solitary bell-shaped flower is. I've never heard of it. I've never heard the phrase. I've never heard any phrase using a butylon. I wonder how I would use that. Would I use that? No. No, I would not. I will not be growing a butylon flowers. I will not be growing a butylons, yes. Next, we have abutment, which is the place at which abutting occurs. The part of a structure as an arch or bridge that directly receives thrust or pressure. Whoa! Insert sex joke here. My throat hitched. I heard that one. I felt that one. Okay, we're not going to use abutment because that one's really not that funny. Abuttals. The boundaries of lands with respect to adjacent lands. We're getting really into the weeds on the abutment here. We have abutter, one that abuts, the owner of a contiguous property that abuts another, I guess. We have abutting, that abuts or serves as an abutment, adjoining or bordering. We have abuzz, filled or surrounding with, or as if a buzzing sound, filled with talk or excitement, yeah, with anticipation of the big game. Everybody is abuzz with anticipation. Abai, what? Abai, or abai with a what? Okay, ABY is abai, or ABYE is also a different pronunciation, not a pronunciation, a different spelling of the same word. But abai means, what does it mean? To buy. Are you fucking, no, to suffer a penalty, to suffer a penalty for, that's an archaic usage. Okay, so abai seems like an ancient or archaic root affix for the word abide, but I'm confused though. Honestly, I don't think that there's a, I don't find this word that interesting. I don't know that I could find myself using it. It feels very archaic. It doesn't feel like a word that I could relatively use inside of any kind of conversation, or one that even, like, it just would have to pertain to a weird, archaic conversation for me to decide that I wish to use the word abai. So we're gonna skip this one. We have abysm, which is the dark backward and abysm of time. I don't know. Abysm. Preceding abysmal, which is having immense or fathomless extension downwards, backward, or inward, also known as immeasurably great and profound. Immeasurably low or wretched. So abysmal, wow, I didn't know. I've been using abysmal wrong. I've been using abysmal as like the specific adjective to define something that's particularly bad, but it turns out that was incorrect. We're gonna learn some things, as we have the abyssal plain, any of the great flat sediment covered areas of the ocean floor, such as the continental shelf. We have Abyssinian, which is any of a breed of medium-sized, slender domestic cats of African origin with short usu brownish hair. Short usu. That I said usu. It's usually. It's an abbreviation of the word usually. Why is Merriam-Webster writing in shorthand? Brownish hair tickled with bands of darker color. Okay, Abyssinian is just a cat breed. We have AC, acacia. It's a type of tree. Then we have academe, which is a place of instruction. Academia, which is, it's fucking the same thing. We have academic again, academical, academic freedom, academic, of an academy for promoting science, art, or literature, a follower of an artistic or philosophical tradition, or a promoter of its ideals. Academicism is the doctrines of Plato's academy. I'm not interested. Academic year, academy, Acadian, a native or inhabitant of Acadia. Acadian is just a person of a place. Assai, small, dark purple, fleshy berry-like fruit. That's so many descriptors. I don't actually know what. I've never actually had an acai berry. I wonder if it's any good. I've had acai flavored drinks, acai flavored fruits, and preservatives, but I've never had a proper, like, acai fruit. And, I don't know that I'm ever going to. Oh my god, what is this? Acanthocephalon. What? What is that? And an acanthocephalon is any of a genus. No, an ornamentation, as in the Corinthian capital, representing or suggesting the leaves of the acanthus. I'm so confused. What does this mean? This means nothing to me. Acanthocephalon. Thorn spine, more encephalic, spiny-headed worm. Stop. It's a spiny-headed worm. Okay, so I guess it's pointless. So we have acapella, which is just without instrumental accompaniment. That's whatever, fine. We have acariasis. Acariasis. Infestation with or disease caused by mites. That's gross. That's interesting. Next, we have acaricide. Acaricide, actually. Which is a pesticide that kills mites and ticks. Don't really need that. Acaride, acarus, acatalectic. What does that mean? To leave off. What? Not catalectic. What? Acid. What? Oh, this is... What a ridiculous set of words that I'm finding in here. Exceed, or exceeding, to become a party, as to an agreement, to express approval or give consent. Nobody's going to ever use this word. I've never heard the word exceed. We're gonna write it down though. Alright, and we have accelerando, accelerate, acceleration of gravity, acceleration principle, accelerative, accelerator, accelerometer, accent again, accent mark, accentual, accentuate. That's a word I like to use a lot. Which, accentuate just basically means to intensify, so there's not much need to write it down. Accept, acceptable, acceptance, acceptant, acceptation. A generally accepted meaning of a word or understanding of a concept. Acceptation is a word the internet is very, very familiar with in terms of what it represents. acceptor, acceptive, access, accessible, accession, accessorial. Whoa, of or relating to an accessory. Okay, well, that's not nearly as interesting as I thought it would be. Accessorize with an S is the British variant, and then there's a Z, which is what the rest of the world uses. I'm just kidding. Or am I? Or am I? I'll never tell. And we have what the fuck is that? Adjugatora. A discordant note sounded with a principal note or chord and immediately released. That's musical jargon. I don't know. Oh, I was so excited. I thought there was going to be an interesting word out of that, but no, it's just more jargon. Of course it is. Accidents, accident, accidental, accident insurance. This is a dictionary, not an encyclopedia. Come on now. We have accidia, accidia, accedi. What? Whatever. Exhibitor. What is that? Any of a genus of medium-sized forest inhabiting hawks that have short, broad wings, a long tail, and a characteristic flight pattern of several quick flaps and a glide. That's neat. By the way, there's no commas in that definition whatsoever. That kind of frustrates me, I won't lie. We have interesting words like acclaim. Oh, my nose, my nose, my nose, my nose. Not again. Oh, no, 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 no. Saved by the bell. We have acclaim, acclamation, acclimate, acclamation, acclimatize, acclimatization, what? Acclivity. Acclivity. Yeah. And ascending slope. Oh, that's neat. And acclivity. Ascending slope. Nice. And we have accolade, accommodate, accommodating, accommodation, accommodationist, accommodation ladder, accompaniment, accompanist, accompanist, that's weird, accompany, accomplice, accomplish, accomplished, accomplishment, accord. An accord is basically just to bring into agreement or to reconcile. Yeah. Do we have an accord? I mean, most people probably watch Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm sure that's not incorrect to assume. Accordance, accordant, according as, according to, accordingly, accordion. That's an instrument. Accost, to approach and speak too often in a challenge. Yeah, and to accost someone. provide with equipment or furnishings. But then there's accoutrement, which is a reference to that equipment or furnishing. Okay, so I actually didn't know that accoutrement was the base word. A credit. We have accrete. And then we have accretion disc, accrual. Maybe should I try holding the book up some, like this way, so that my face is actually doing something other than, being broken the entire time. Accrual, accrue. Acculturate. To change through acculturation. Oh yes, thank you for using a different word that doesn't make sense. Acculturation is cultural modification of an individual, group, or people by adapting to or borrowing traits from another culture. Also, a merging of cultures as a result of prolonged contact. The process by which a human being acquires the culture of a particular society from infancy. So acculturation is kind of like assimilation, but from birth. That's interesting. Exactly how I would use acculturation in a sentence. I would probably only ever bring it up specifically to define what an acculturation is, which is kind of just like the assimilation of somebody who has a British family to a country culturally different from their parents. Accumulate, accumulation, accumulative, accumulator, accuracy, accurate, accursed or accursed, accusal, accusation, accusative, accusatory, accuse, accused, accustom, accustomed, ace, oh my god, ace inhibitor, what? That's what? What does this mean? The potter's field bought with the money Judas. Oh, it's from the Bible. I see. Acellular. Oh, acellular. That makes sense. Containing no cells. And then we have acentric, lacking central something. I think acentric actually has a lot to do with lacking a centromere. What is that? Acious. That's a suffix. Acephalous. What is that? Lacking a head or having the head reduced. Or the lack of a government head at the official, like at the tippy top. That's interesting as well. What do we have? Acephalous. Not to be confused with a singular syphilis. possum. Acephalus is a word that I've not known about. We have acequia. Oh, what? An irrigation ditch or canal. An acequia is from 1844 in the Southwest. This is not something I'm probably ever going to use. We have a Serb, which is akin to, or that's not really a sharp, morid edge. That's all I'm really getting out of it. They don't define this word as being all that interesting. We have acerbating, which is to irritate or exacerbate. Oh no, it's acerbate. That's interesting. So I didn't know that. That's neat. So I've always used the word exacerbate, but exacerbate is actually a conjugated form of the word acerbate, and acerbate is genuinely to just be annoying, I guess. Or I guess acerbate is a verb, which is the to be annoying. Neat. That's pretty neato, mosquito. Alright, now we go from acerbate to acerbic, acerbity, acerola. That's neat. Any of various West Indian shrubs with mildly acidic cherry-like fruits, very rich in vitamin C. What? I thought acerola wasn't a real word. I thought acerola was just a YouTuber who is a bit of an expat when it comes to the video game software development world. But I guess you learn something new every day, huh? What? So we have acesulfame K, a white crystalline powder that is a cyclic organic potassium salt, has a sweetness much more intense than sucrose, and is used as a non-caloric sweetener in foods and beverages. That's crazy. I'm not running that down. Acid or aceto. Acetabulum. What? The cup-shaped socket in the hip bone. Acetabulum. Okay, I guess so. I guess that's one way to do it. Acetaldehyde. That's Alright. That was awful. We have acetabulum, which is the acetabular bone. Acetyl, which is any of various compounds characterized by the grouping blank, whatever COR2 is, and obtained especially by heating aldehydes or ketones with alcohols. And then right after that we have acetaldehyde, which is a colorless, volatile, water-soluble liquid aldehyde used chiefly in organic synthesis. Acetamide, a white crystalline amide. Acetaminophen, acetanilide, a white crystalline compound. Acetate, which is another thing. Oh my god, acetic acid, acetic anhydride, acetify. What is that? To turn into acetic acid or vinegar. Okay. Ace to acid. Ace to acidic. Ace to acidic. Whatever. I'm not interested in that one either. Wow, this page sucked. Alright, next up we're still on AC. We have acetone. acetonitrile, what? Acetophenetidine, acetophenetidine, acetous, acetylate, acetylcholine. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff that's just science related and it's not interesting for me. I'm looking for fun words out here. We have ache, Aiken, acheron, Aculean. No, that's Acheulean. Okay. Ashval. Achieve, achieved, achievement, Achilles, Achilles heel, Achilles tendon, aching, achingly, achiote. A spice made from the red seed of the annatto tree, also the seed from which the spice is made. I don't know what an achiote is. Acarol, of relating to or being a molecule that is superimposable on its mirror image, not chiral. I don't know what that means. Achlorhydra, absence of hydrochloric acid from the gastric juice. Okay. Achondrite, achondroplasia. A Jew. Achromatic, reflecting light without dispersing it into its constituent colors, giving images practically free from extraneous colors. An achromatic telescope. Oh, that's neat. Not readily colored by the usual staining agents. An achromatic lens. Achy. Axicular. What is that? Shaped like a needle. Axicular. I would use that word. Man, my hands hurt like a biscuit, you know what I mean? So we have acid, acid fast, acid head, acidic, acidifier. There's a cat in here I forgot about. Where is she? Oh, she's under the curtain. She's always under the curtain. I knew better. We have acidimeter, acidity, acidophil, acidophilic, acidophilus, acidophilus, acidosis. Oops, smacked the piss out of my monitor just now. We have acid rain, we have acid rock, acid snow, acid test, acidulant, acidulous, acid washed, acinar, acinus, ack. What is ack? What? Acknowledge. Ack. Oh, it's an abbreviation for acknowledgement. Okay. I guess so. Ack. We have acknowledge and acknowledged, acknowledgement, ACL, ACLS, ACLU, acme. Acne rosacea, a cock. I'm sorry, what? Being in a cocked position. What? You can do that. I didn't know you could do that. Accelerate. An invertebrate lacking a column. What the fuck is a column? A cold. To be chilled. A cold. Acolyte. One who assists a member of the clergy in a liturgical service by performing minor duties. An acolyte is basically just a follower, but I do like the word acolyte, although now it's inextricably tied to destiny in my mind, and that's just the way it's gotta be, I guess. Oh my, we've got a long way to go to just finish the A. We have aconite, which is the dried poisonous tuberous root of common monk's hood. Acorn, acorn squash, acorn woodpecker, acorn worm, acoustic, acoustician, acoustics, ACP, ACBT, which is an abbreviation for acceptance, acquaintance, let's not use that one, acquiesce, acquiesce, now that's a word. Acquiesce is a word that the world does not use enough. It is a word that the world needs a lot more of, and I will have to write this one down. So to acquiesce is to accept, comply, or submit tacitly. It's a gorgeous word. It's not one that means anything super, it's not very, it doesn't have a lot of depth, but it sounds night. It sounds nice. We have acquiescence, acquiescent, acquirable, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, also known as AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency, also known as AIDS, acquired taste, acquiree, acquirement, acquirer, acquisition, acquisitor, acquisitive, acquit, acquittal, acquittance, acre, acreage, acre foot, acre inch, acrid, acridin, a colorless crystalline compound occurring in coal tar and important as the parent compound of dyes and pharmaceuticals. That's so interesting. I don't care. Acridin orange, a basic orange dye structurally related to acridin and used especially to stain nucleic acids. Coal. Acroflavin is a yellow dye. Acrimonious, caustic, biting, or rancorous, especially in feeling, language, or manner. Oh, okay. Acrimonious, you say? We have to switch to a new page now. We now have the word acrimonious. 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 And acrimonious, once again, means caustic, biting, or rancorous. Rancorous. I don't know how to use that word though. In feeling. An acrimonious dispute. It's the example. They use the example. 6 acrocentric. And that will do the end of the first 11 pages. We're gonna have to remember that we left off page 12. Right, and that's all of the dictionary stuff that I think I'm going to do today. I'm going to change gears a little bit here. I'm going to put these away. I'm going to switch to some actual triggers. I say actual triggers, but I'm going to switch to some different triggers that are more just more traditional, and they have a lot less of the weird niche thing that I'm personally interested in. So I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick, and when I come back, we'll get started again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Let me, wait, I need to update my title. Alright. Oh, wow, that's sensitive. That's very sensitive. Hello, Kachito. I hope you are well. The stream's been going pretty well overall. I just finished up doing my, I guess you can call it homework for a video, because the idea for me in the long run is I want to make a video on this is not at all interesting to say, but it is to me. I want to make a video on the dictionary, and I have a physical copy of Merriam-Webster's 11th edition Collegiate Dictionary. So I thought it would be really interesting if perhaps there was like a writing trigger. I don't know if that works for anybody else. I personally think it looks and sounds really neat, but I was just writing the definitions for words I found interesting. And overall, it's been pretty fun. My room's getting kind of warm, but that's okay. The cats have been very well behaved and very quiet. We only had one minor accident where the kitten got her head stuck in the door. do also like a writing trigger. I don't have it right now, but I am technically using a pencil. I'm just dragging my pencil along the mouse pad. For some reason. No, my gain got turned down, that's right. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. There, that should be better. Why are you not picking up? Why are you being like this? My microphone is being so funny right now. Why are you like this? ASMRing myself. Ever since I bought this microphone a few years ago, I find myself sitting around just cranking the gain up sometimes. And I'll sit and just do this while making random noises. And I'll just have a great time. makes my model look really goofy. I can't believe it's already almost been 3 hours. I just feel like I've been having a lot of fun. I'm just in a good mood, I guess. Hello, SodaPup. How are you? Thank you for the follow. You're very kind. I hope you're doing well. Fun fact, I think MVP is still available. Nobody actually showed up for a while. Well, actually, that's not true. I've had people here, but I think a lot of people don't recognize that I have things available for redemption. There you go. Look at that. The two most special persons of the stream. The double dipper. everybody to know that they can always be the number one first loser forever. Thank you for the follow, maybe. Oh, my baby. That's a name. I hope everybody is doing well this evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is in your time zone. Have a good time zone. I understand. Thank you for the lyric, SodaPup, and thank you for the follow and stopping by. I would say that you're in good hands, but I might slap the microphone on accident. But I'll do my best. necessary to talk all the time, you know? It's just gotta be a safe place. Somewhere that's quiet and somewhere that's not a problem. You like my pause emote? I think he's so cute. I think he's absolutely adorable. I love it. Honestly, he was a free gift from my friends. and so it did. I don't feel that terrible, but it is still kind of brutal that when I wake up, I feel like my head is going to explode. But it's okay. I get to sit down sometimes. Well, it's my day off, so I get to sit down on my days off and I get to spend time with you guys. And that's where all the fun is for me. Sometimes we try new things. By we, I mean sometimes I get a stick and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's time to try something new. And then I start trying to do something new. Most of the time it's just a new game. But I realized earlier this week I enjoy playing with my microphone. And I figured that trying out ASMR couldn't hurt. Because I just do this on my own anyway. I like to sit around, turn the gain all the way up like the narcissist that I am, and just play with my microphone, and I like doing this. It's so weird because I don't think I actually enjoy consuming ASMR content. I almost never actually do. I usually just kind of sit still and, I don't know, I like sitting with my thoughts, I guess. That only started shortly after I got off of social media, though. Deleting all of my social media isn't, I realize it's not viable for everyone, but it's done some fantastic work towards helping my mental health. Making everything sound like wind rolling over tree-littered hills. I don't know if that's something anyone else knows about, or how I might go about doing it with a super cardioid microphone specifically. But if I could find something like I don't know, maybe something, it's just, I feel like it would have to be really soft. But I'm not certain. I wonder if I could use the mesh across the guard for the microphone. I wonder if that would work. I need to test that off stream though. I didn't try that one. I feel like it would be too close to the microphone. My microphone's extremely sensitive. That's nice. Thank you for the headbands. I'm doing my best. It's a little bit interesting because I work night shift, so I'm always awake around, horrific hours for normal people. I think it was why I was partially drawn to the glow of the eyes here and having this set up, because it makes me feel like I'm actually, like I'm standing watch. Like that's what I'm here for, Me and my little shoulder-mounted capybara. That's a feeling I would relish with, knowing that I could sleep and be in good hands, protected, have no need for worry, free of stress and repetition of daily stresses. That would be the life. This trigger is really neat. How's it going, High Ground? I haven't seen your name in a long time. It's okay, buddy. I know what I look like too. I have to see it in the mirror every day. How you doing, friend? I'm glad to see that you're still around. stepped on me and I'm flat now. Yeah, High Ground and I go way back, kind of unironically. He's been around for a long time. I think in 2019, if I'm correct. It was right before, or right as COVID was about to strike. I was hopelessly addicted to Destiny 2 at the time, and thank the heavens I am no longer. I say we switch back to the pencil. Did he just pop in here to say, like, look, you're a VTuber now, and then leave? He's a proper Aussie boy. I never can quite get the sensitivity correct with my eyes on this model. I can't really squint, because if I squint, then he just blinks. But that's okay, I guess. I think there are just some quirks sometimes whenever you get customizable models. Well, maybe someday in the near-ish future I can get my hands on my own custom model. I think I would really like to have one made in like macaron style. Because I prefer simple, but I also like fashion. Speaking of fashion, I feel really naked without my ring on right now. I have a little ring gifted to me by my mother. It spins, it's on like a little bearing. It's really nice because it helps me refrain from, tearing the skin off of my fingers because I have a really bad nervous tick. And whenever I get uncomfortable, I have a really hard time just not picking at myself. I've been getting better at it because I wear the ring now. I can fidget with the ring instead. It's not the same feeling, but it's a similar motion. So, as long as I'm moving and doing something, it's kind of a non-issue. I don't know that my Stream Elements bot is actually working. He's supposed to notify chat whenever there's an ad about to come up, or at least when an ad is running. And by notify chat, I mean notify me, because I hate that people get sent to ad jail. Like, half the fun of streaming is being able to interact with chat. And how can I interact with chat if they're busy imprisoned by the newest Chevrolet ad? I mean, honestly. See the light effects. I guess that's fine. It's not a huge deal. that's okay. What's important is we can sit here and we can enjoy a nice, quiet, solemn night. And hopefully we can even get some good sleep. see somebody who's doing brushing and swiping. I'll do a few more minutes though, because I really enjoy this. This has been a lot of good fun for me. Switch back to this neat one. It's obviously not necessary, but after stream, I'm gonna raid, go get some food probably, and I might stream again later today if that's something anybody's interested in. But I'm not gonna be doing another ASMR stream. Not today. If I do another stream, I'm probably going to be playing Crimson Desert again. I have a lot of catching up to do in that game. It has its hooks deep inside of me, and I can't let it go. I forgot to turn the rain back on, I'm sorry. Still here. I'm gonna send you to another ASMR VTuber. His name is Braver Cube. He seems to be kind of chill. So I don't know who's still here. I don't Thank you everybody for stopping by. Thank you Marthy for the sub and the gift sub. Thank you for the follows, SodaPup. Oh my baby. And also Marthy. And I hope everyone has a fantastic night's sleep, rest, work day, wherever you're at. I hope life treats you well.